So let's look at our mesh file. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. And here, again, it's an XML type of organization, and it starts off with the header, and then the next part is our mesh information saying, all right, this is our mesh, and our mesh is defined by submeshes. Now, submeshes are pieces of geometry that have different materials on it. So in this case, we only have one piece of one object, and that one object only has one material, so that's what our submesh is. So our submesh is essentially how many groups of polygons have different materials. So we only have one group of polygons, and that one group of polygons, or one polygon in this case, has one material. So we're going to define this submesh. So we have this indent here, and it's saying, all right, we're going to define the submesh. And this submesh has 4 vertices, as we saw before within our 3D program, and it has 2 faces. Now, again, we saw one polygon face, but the computer breaks things down into tries, which is going to basically cut this in half. So one easy way to visualize that is if we go to convert to, you kind of saw it there for a second, convert to editable mesh. The editable mesh is basically how the computer is going to read it out as far as rendering. I lost some information here, but no worries. I'm just going to go back to it and just undo in a second. So I'm going to open this up, and then we know what vertices are. We should know what edges are, and we should know what polygons are. So we have one polygon face, but if we go ahead here to face, if we zoom in a little bit and click face, you can see that this one polygon is broken up in half by this invisible, or not invisible line because we can see it, but this dotted line. This dotted line is basically how the computer is going to break up this in render time. So this is exactly what we're seeing here. And you can see that I'm able to select just this portion, or just this portion here. So every polygon, no matter how many sides, is always going to be broken up into tries. So if I were to add another, and I'm not even going to do that. We can get into that later, but just so that you know, every polygon face, even though we have 4 verts and the edges are here, it's going to be broken up by the computer. So let's go ahead and open this up. Context. So that's where these number of faces come into. It's how many tries we have. These things here, that's that information that we had before that I said I'm not even sure if the previewer reads it. Texture coordinates has to do with UVs, which are important, but we'll get into that. That's a whole nother lecture altogether. But most importantly, the most important bit of information that we see is our material ID. It's right here. It's 12. This is that first mesh. You can see it's simple plain. It doesn't have the 18 on it. And this is where the material ID is associated. You can see that it's brought into the submesh. So now we're going into basically what we did for the rig. It's going to identify, all right, we need to look at the vertices. That's the simplest bit of information within a mesh. So let's go ahead and break that up. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to grab a vertex, and it's going to say, all right, how many things are influencing it? And there's one, which is our dummy, the dummy 01 object, which is our rig. You can have more than one object influencing it, but this is the simplest type of binding you're going to have. And here, it's going to the file is saying this vertex is going to have an ID of 0. Okay, and that's going to be used later to make our physical object. So it's going to say what position this object is in 3D space. So you can see these are the coordinates X, Y, and Z. You can see the normal, the direction the face is facing, the color. This is important later. We'll get into vertex colors. Essentially, you can assign an RGB value, red, green, blue, value to every vertex. Our texture coordinate, this is saying the location of the UV space on this vert. We'll get into that later. And here is the influence ID. If we remember in the rig file, the influence ID of the dummy object was 0, and you can see that we have an influence ID of 0 here. So all of the vertices in this mesh should have a influence ID of 0. So if we go here, 0, 0, 0, and 0. And you can see that we have 4 because we have 4 vertices. Awesome! Okay, so as we go down to the next vert, 1 influence. Now the ID is 1, so this is making it a different object from, or a different vertex from here. Then we go in, and you can see it's a different position as well. We can go all the way down, and this is the last vertex. So you can see all of these are just vertex information. Then we have another type of information here. We have face vertex ID 0. All right. Well, first face vertex ID, and then it has 3 numbers. So basically, it's taking vertex ID 0, putting it. Basically, it's just making the face. It's just saying, you know what? This combination of vertices makes one face. This combination of vertices makes another or face. So these two here makes up, if we go inside of our previewer, book, book, and we go to geometry, it makes up this number here. So these two make up this one, and these 4 from here, 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 and here make up this number here. Boom. And this material ID number comes from here. Sweet. All right. So we effectively just checked out a very simple XMF file. We're definitely going to go in and look at more complex ones at a later time, but this is what we need to kind of understand what the heck's going on in the XRF. That's basically what we're working on. So if I open this up. Now we should have some sort of understanding where the heck this number comes from, and where this information comes from. So actually, we can stop this one here, and now we can go ahead and, because this one really long video, and then next we're going to go ahead and cover the XRF data.